Hello everyone, welcome to the Basics of MATLAB series. In this tutorial, I will talk about loops in MATLAB, and to do that, I will first of all switch the layout in which I am comfortable. You can see how to make your own layout in the tutorial 1 of this series and how you can save that layout as well. I will switch it to the layout I am comfortable with and create a new script. So let me save this script with the name for loop, and to show you what syntax we need to follow for loop in MATLAB, I will simply write help for in the command window, and here we can see the syntax we need to use for the for loop. For loop simply will repeat statements a specific number of time which we define in the condition. We will assign a variable, the starting value, then how it will keep on changing, and then an end value. An example you can see here. So R is going from 1 to n, then there will be a statement written for it, what it needs to perform, and then we need to end it. I've increased the font size, which I'm going to use in the editor window using Control plus. And I will start by writing a comment. This is an example for making one-dimensional arrays, which I talked about in previous tutorial using for loop. This is a very simple use case for the for loop. If I write for and initialize a variable I, which will go from 1 to 10, and then I create a variable named a and assign its values a I is equal to the value of I plus 2, and then if I end the loop, this will help me creating a variable 1D of 1D array type, and it will have values starting from 3 to 13. So I will now run this example, and you can see a new variable is created from the loop statement, and it is having 10 values in it starting from 3 to 12. Similarly, if we want to create 2D matrices or 2D arrays, which are also known as matrices, using for loop, 2D arrays using for loop, we can make use of two for statements in it. So what we can do is we will create one variable which will contain the row element and one which will create the column element. So I want to make it a 3 cross 3 matrix. So R will go from 1 to 3, and for the columns they will also go from 1 to 3, and the value that matrix will have be R comma C. I can assign it any random values. So right now what I can do is I will make use of the variables I have and multiply them to create value for it. I will end the for loop, and I will now run this, and you can see that a matrix B is created where each value is the multiplication of row number and the column number. So for example, row 3 column 3 is multiplication of 3 into 3, 9. So you don't need to write a statement like c is equal to c plus 1 in MATLAB to increment the variable, that thing will be automatically covered by MATLAB for you. And one more thing which I want you to notice is if I remove this end, you will see on the right hand side that uh, errors symbol is created, and again an error for line number 9 is shown. So this thing happens when we are saving our scripts beforehand instead of first writing the code, then saving it while running. So we can simply go to the line which is having a red bar here and see what error it is. So it is suggesting me an end might be missing, which is true. And if I do that, it will remove that. Ideally, you should be removing these warnings as well, like variable appears to change size on every loop iteration. So this warning simply means that A is changing its size every time it is running. So what I can do is I can initialize this matrix A from zeros, and it will contain one row and 10 columns in it. And now you can see that the warning which was coming here earlier is disappeared. So this is also a good practice to keep while you are creating your codes. And similarly for B matrix, we can initialize it B zeros 3 comma 3. Another point I want to cover is I in the previous tutorial I talked about that zero index is not applicable in MATLAB. So if I create this for loop in which the variable j is going from 0 to 9, bj is equal to j and end it, then I will end up receiving an error. So this error is again the one which we were getting in previous tutorial. Array indices must be positive integer or logical values. So what you can do is either you can initialize the variable to go from 1 to 10, or you can simply write j plus 1 here if you want the first element to be 0. So let me change this variable name for you to see it. And now we will get a matrix G or 1D array which will start from 0 and contain values till 9. Now let's talk about another type of loops which we can use in MATLAB, that is while loop. So I will create another script, save it with the name while loop. And to see the syntax of while loop, I will write help while in the command window. So in the description, you can see that the while loop will repeat the statements an indefinite number of times. And this is the main difference between the two loops. So if I want to run a loop for a particular number of times, I can make use of for loop. While if I want to keep on doing an operation until a condition is true, I will make use of while loop. The syntax is quite simple. We will need to define an expression and then the operation which we want to perform, and then we can end it. So while the variable a is less than 10, I want to keep on assigning the variable b at index a the values of a plus 1, and I can end it. So we will need to initialize the value of a to some value, and that we can do by typing a is equal to 0. And this, if I run this code now, it will give me an error because the index is starting from 0. So I need to change this as well. And now if I run it, this loop will keep on executing infinite times. So this is not what I want to do as of now, because if I don't provide it an updated value of a every time it runs, it will keep on running and I would need to stop it using the stop button here. So let me comment out this line to show you that the loop will keep on running infinite time if I don't stop it. So generally a MATLAB code won't take this much time to execute because it is a very small code. So because it is in an infinite loop, that's why it is taking so much time. And if I press on stop, that operation is terminated. And now I can remove this comment. And if I run it, the variable b is having values of 1 to 10. And that should have happened as well because we are starting from 0 plus 1 and ending at value a is equal to 9, because that's when the condition will become false and we would stop entering the while loop.